Hi and welcome to this week's Life Lessons video. It's great to be back with you all. This week we're going to be sharing with you a very powerful inner child healing exercise. Now, inner child work is all about communicating with, supporting and emotionally educating your stuck inner child so that it can heal and grow. But what if you've never spoken to your inner child before? What if you've been ignoring your inner child for a very long time? Where on earth to begin? Well, we're going to be explaining what we believe are the 5 essential things you need to tell your inner child as part of this work. If you start off the inner child communication process with these key messages, they will create a rock solid foundation and bond between you and your inner child as you work on this healing process together. Welcome to our Wu Wei Wisdom Life Lessons series. In each episode, we answer your questions, reveal the powerful life lesson, and offer you lots of practical tips and advice to help you live in balance, harmony, and flow. Okay, so the first and what we believe is the most important thing that you need to tell your inner child is this. I know I have ignored you in the past, but I'm listening to you now and I want to hear you. So David, do you want to explain why that is so very important for the child to hear that from you?
Wow, it's really profound stuff. This is very, very important. Because remember, we're talking to that part of the mind that we're giving the label the inner child. And this is the part of the mind during your life you've been ignoring, you've been trying to cover over, sweep under the carpet, put in a box, whatever you want to call it. Keep yourself busy so you don't have to listen to it. Avoid, go to your emotions instead of going to the problem. And that part of your mind absolutely has got no one to talk to. So this normally starts in childhood. This is the first time when the child is not listened to. This is the first time when the child is ignored. This is the first time when the child's questions are not answered. And then you know what we do, and this is a criminal thing. We experience that as a child, and then we do even worse to ourselves. We don't go down to really get to the core of the issue. You know how many times, this is why the golden thread is so important, to get to the core of the issue. We get hung up on the emotions. I feel this, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I'm guilty, I'm not, oh my goodness. We talk about, remember I talked a few weeks ago about the froth on top of, we stick in the froth instead of going down and sitting quiet and listening to the inner child. Now, this is what I would call a meditation. And let me just make this clear. By meditation, I do not mean emptying your mind, sitting cross-legged. I mean being focused and going to the most difficult question, which this is so profound, so important, and listen to what the child is saying, not what it's feeling, what it's saying.
And David, as you say, for many of us, maybe this includes you, and please do comment below if this does relate to you. We've spent so long trying to shut off the inner child, to not let its voice be heard because we don't want to face up to or address the concerns, the issues that the inner child has. We've been emotionally avoiding that. Yeah. So that's why this first message to the child to now say that you can speak, I want you to speak, I'm listening, is so very important as you begin this talking and this conversation process with the child. So number 2, the second thing that we must tell the inner child, that you must say to your inner child is, I will no longer judge or criticize you. I accept you and I love you unconditionally.
Oh my goodness. Isn't that powerful? We call it CCJ. How many times are you judging, comparing, and criticizing yourself? If you don't believe me, just remember CCJ. And for the next hour or so, if you walk around, notice how many times you do it to yourself, let alone other people. Just do it to yourself. How many times do you compare yourself? Oh, look at them. They're better than me. They're going on better. Oh, I didn't do that well. I'm hopeless at this. I'm really thick. I'm really stupid. I can't do it. Oh, I should be better than the way I were. Remember, we keep talking about raising the bar. You keep setting the bar higher and higher until you can't jump over it. And then you go, there you are. Look, I knew this would never work. We call this the carousel of despair or the self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is what this is about. Stop CCJing. Instead, listen and answer. Now, if you can't answer, this is where you have to do the real work to find the answer. But in the first instance, you listen and you answer.
And also, David, I think if your inner child knows that it's not going to be judged, it's not going to be criticized, it's not going to be scolded or dismissed, when it begins to open up for the first time.
Or laughed at.
Or made fun of.
Embarrassed.
Yeah.
See, so many words. Sorry to jump in, Alex, but there's so many words here. So you've got to be careful of all of these words. These are all judgmental statements.
So if it has a sense of safety, that you're going to respect it, that you're going to listen to it, that you're going to love it regardless of what it has to tell you, that it's okay to talk. Again, this creates this absolutely rock solid, strong foundation for you and your inner child.
But this is you when you're talking to the inner child. Again, we've done this on a previous video. You have to be really in your Sheng spirit. Because if the child says something, it's very easy to kind of go, oh, isn't that stupid? Oh, you fancy thinking that. Oh, aren't you? Do not do that. Because the inner child would just go, there you go again. It's not worth talking to you.
Or also, as the adult, we can often dismiss something that the inner child says us, dismiss an issue the inner child may raise with us as being too petty, insignificant, or minor, or just forget about it, it's nothing. But actually to the child, it's very, very important. And so the child needs to understand that it's not going to be criticized, it's not going to be judged for whatever it is that it's stuck on, whatever the issues are that it is brought from its childhood that it's stuck with.
Because this is what we call the life lesson. And don't always think, because sometimes the life lessons are very profound and life-changing stuff. But not always. It could be as simple as visiting the dentist or going to the doctors or going to an institution or speaking to somebody like a solicitor or someone like that. These can be very important for that child part of your mind.
So I guess the message is for your inner child to understand that there is no issue, there's no concern, there's no problem that is too small, insignificant for you to now listen to, for you now to care for that child with, for you now to love that child with.
And to educate the child.
And to educate the child with.
Educate the child.
So, number 3, the third important thing that you need to tell your inner child is, I understand that what happened to you in the past was confusing, challenging, and painful. I will help you make sense of these emotions and feelings.
Yeah. And this is what we've just been saying, the emotional education. To go down and speak to your child. When you're speaking to your child, as I always try and say in these videos, I like to use pet names like, okay, sweetheart, okay, little one, okay, son, let's talk. Now you're going down and the attitude, the frame of mind that you want is genuinely interested. Can you hear what I'm saying? Genuinely interested. Not going down with already your mind made up. Oh, this is going to be difficult. Oh, I know what he's going to say. Oh, I know what she's going to say. Oh, I know I can't cope with this. Oh, I know I'm going to be overwhelmed. And all of that. And when I'm working with my clients, I believe this is what I can show them the most. To have that genuine interest in what they're going to say and to try and resolve the life lessons. Because This is what all this is about. The child is stuck with a life lesson they do not understand, and it's created immense pain for them, and they don't know how to deal with it. And what they do, they try and avoid the situation ever happening again.
And they want to keep focused on the emotions and feelings and how bad they are, rather than doing that deeper level work. But I think it's so important to acknowledge and validate the child that what happened in the past, which could be something very, very serious, or something as an adult we could now deal with, but as a child we couldn't deal with at the time. It's so important almost like as a first starting point to acknowledge that what happened wasn't necessarily okay, wasn't necessarily fair, wasn't necessarily right. But now I, as the adult, can help you manage and unravel and get to the bottom of all these uncomfortable and painful feelings and emotions.
Well, I would go even one step further to share with them, because that part of the mind has created a separation and it believes that it's completely on its own. And by you going down and just having that internal conversation and sharing in that experience, and Alex is dead right. Normally it's about unfairness, injustice. That shouldn't have happened. That doesn't happen to other children. Why did it happen to me? They didn't have a dysfunctional family, or they didn't have a dysfunctional childhood. Why have I got it? Now, a lot of my clients will not go down there because they know they haven't got the answer. And as we've said in other videos, that's your responsibility as a spiritual adult being, to try and discover the answer. That's why you're listening to these videos. That's why you've joined the Facebook community. You can ask these questions and get some answers, so you can go down and open the conversation. And do not believe that you've got to have all of the answers. Let me repeat that, very important. Do not believe you've got to have all of the answers. It's very important to go in. One of the most powerful things to say to your inner child, you know what? Let's find that out together. Let's go and sort that out ourselves. I'm listening to you. We are doing this now together.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. So, number 4, and this is equally as powerful as the first 3. Thank you for speaking up and showing me that there are important life lessons that we need to learn together.
Oh, crikey. These are profound stuff, because this is what a red light feeling is. Whether you call it fear, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, scared, whatever it is.
Anger, guilt, sadness, all the emotions that the inner child can be exhibiting.
Exactly, Alex. And this is the inner child screaming at you, I need help. This is what I said a few videos ago, and everybody wrote in and said I didn't know what I was talking about. The red lights are one of your greatest assets. It's telling you you've got an inner child that badly needs education, support, guidance. It needs to have that spiritual dimension that it hasn't got, because what it's done is it's closed itself down. Remember I talk about that kernel? It's closed itself up in a cocoon, and it doesn't want to let itself down. That's why when you go down and you start to open the conversation, the first few times is not easy, because you've never done it before, and the child is a bit wary. Are you going to run away from it? Are you going to not ignore it again? So this is why it's very important to understand that the child is bringing you these life lessons for you to resolve.
But those life lessons, the inner child doesn't come to you and say, well, hello, I've got a life lesson here. The inner child comes to you with the emotions and the feelings, typically painful or uncomfortable emotions and feelings, but they are what we call the spiritual signposts, the top level signposts that will guide you, that indicate to you that there is something deep there to be learned. There's something in your childhood that your inner child has held on to very tightly for a very long time. It's kept it hidden and protected. But these emotions and these feelings, what we call the red light feelings, are it's almost like the gift from the inner child that he or she is giving to you, so that you then as the parent can work with the inner child, dig a little deeper using the golden thread process technique that we teach to get down to the thoughts and the self-talk, and then the deeper core beliefs that are shaped around the life lesson of the original incident that the inner child is holding on to so very tightly.
And you wouldn't be listening to this video if you didn't think of yourself as a sensitive, spiritual, healing type of a person. And you know what I notice? It's so much easier to do it to other people, isn't it? It's so much easier to work with other people, tell other people what they should and shouldn't be doing.
To listen to other people's problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we don't do it to ourselves. And this is what these 5 steps are. These 5 steps is to pause, take a breath, drop your shoulders, and think that the most important healing that you will ever do throughout your life is the healing that you will do to yourself. Just following these very simple but profound steps of listening and resolving your issues. Or if you can't resolve them immediately, then going to finding out how you resolve them.
And then number 5, almost like the closing statement or the closing message to give to your inner child is, you can trust me. I am here for you now. We are a team and nothing can separate us.
And this goes down to your spirituality. Can your inner child really trust you? Will you give in when things get a bit tough? Will you throw in the towel when it has a screaming piglet and has a temper tantrum and throws a wobbly? Will you go, oh, that's too much, I knew I couldn't do this? Or will you stick with it? Will you hold on to your child? And it's almost like sometimes you're holding on to the inner child and the inner child struggling and saying, I hate you, I hate you, I don't like you. And you've got to say, but I love you. I love you and I'll never let you go, because I've let you go too much in the past, and I've given you a promise, and this time I will not break my promise. And you hold on tight to all the screaming and all the temper tantrums and all the riddling and all the hiding and all the nasty things it will say to you. You're not good enough, you'll give in, you won't work, you can't cope, you're lazy. You say, sorry, darling. I'm holding on to you, and this time I will not let you down or let you go. And the more you hold on, the more you breathe, you'll see the child just begin to melt into your arms, and he or she will slowly start to trust you. And once you've got that trust, never, never betray that trust, because that's the greatest gift that you can give to yourself. In the Sheng Contract, that's number 2. Truth, honesty, integrity. And this is all about having integrity for yourself. Never let yourself down. And this is one of the most powerful lessons. And this is where you put it into action right now on these 5 things. Don't start this if you're not going to complete it. Because you'll just be letting yourself down, and the inner child will go, there you are, I knew what as well would happen. And you must be absolutely focused. This is your intention, focused, your yi dao, qi dao. Keep your intention clear.
And David mentioned the Sheng contract or spiritual contract there, and we've done another video on that so you can understand that a little bit more fully. But essentially it's the contract that you have with your spiritual self, your higher self. And if you can honor that, then that gives you, as the adult, mature you, the foundations to then work with your inner child. And we think, although you may be embarking on this inner child journey, and you may think, oh, I'm a bit overwhelmed by this, I think these 5 things give you a real strong place to start. And you can almost repeat these 5 messages to yourself quietly every morning in a little meditation, or write them down on a piece of paper. And I just think reminding yourself of these 5 powerful messages is an excellent exercise to begin your inner child healing journey.
And if you get a resistance or a pushback, or you say, well, I don't know how to do that, then this is what we're here for. We're all in this together. Join the Facebook community, ask the question. You'll see there's over 2,000 people there will come in and help you and say what they did and what they tried and what worked for them and what didn't work for them. You can write into us and we'll help you, because you've got to be authentic. You have to be truthful. You have to honor your integrity when you're going to do this. These are 5 powerful steps. Don't waste them. And you're not expected to get them right in the first instance. Remember, you're a human being. You only learn by making mistakes. But make those mistakes honest mistakes, truthful mistakes, and act with integrity. So if you make a mistake, you go, whoa, okay, I made a mistake there. Let me roll back and admit your mistake. Then the child, that inner child part of your mind, will see that you are changing.
And that you're trying,
Absolutely.
that you're trying really hard for yourself and for your child.
Absolutely. And you're honoring yourself and you're respecting yourself and you're taking personal and self and emotional self-responsibility. This is so important. You know, please give this a try. This is life-changing stuff. This will change your emotions. This will change your relationships. This will change your career. This will affect every part of your life.
Brilliant. Thank you, David. And so we hope you found that exercise helpful. Next week, we're going to be sharing with you another inner child healing exercise, and that is what we believe are the 3 most important questions that you need to ask your inner child as part of this inner child conversation and the reparenting process. We've produced lots and lots of videos on inner child work and inner child healing, and I will put links to those videos in the description below. If you would like to work one-to-one with David on any of the inner child issues we've talked about, or your own inner child healing, David works every week with clients all over the world by video call, and I will put a link below also so you can learn more about his sessions. If you've enjoyed this video, tell us what was your most powerful takeaway. If you have any questions, do comment below. And if you think you know anyone else who would benefit from this video, please do share it. If you're new to our channel, please do subscribe and click the bell notifications button so you receive a little email notification every time we produce a new video. We look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.